Well, welcome to another edition of our virtual state fair briefings here online. We can't be in person, unfortunately, because of obviously there is no state fair in person this year. And of course, University of Minnesota has forever taken all of its athletic teams out to the state fair on a couple of days. We've used that state fair stage at the U of M building to introduce and allow athletes and coaches to see a whole bunch of people, and unfortunately that's not the case. Our showcase right here and right now is women's soccer, and of course they'd rather be playing this week in real matches on a real pitch, but unfortunately here we are all sitting in our own little rooms talking over a computer screen. We have head coach Steph Golan with us. And Coach, first of all, good to see you. I wish we were out at the fair talking about upcoming games for your team. Unfortunately, that's not the case. So here we are. I know you and I caught up earlier in the summer on a Zoom on one of our Gopher talks, but how's your summer been?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely had its fair share of challenges. Clearly with the team, we came back. We got an opportunity to start preseason, so we were able to see that our team had committed to do the work that they were supposed to do, and we were, ready to get rolling. And so the news was difficult for us because we did feel like we had approached that COVID time better than a lot of people had. And, our women had really, truly committed themselves to one another and to put ourselves in a position to be able to compete at a really high level. And, if things hadn't been shut down and this was a typical year, we would be coming off of our first weekend of competing. And, I think that it's really easy to be able to say, oh, this sucks and this is terrible. But, part of what we have to do in this business is embrace the suck. And, we've got to say, okay, well, we came back in a really good position. And so how can we utilize the time that we do have to continue to get better and to continue to grow so that when we do get the opportunity to get out there, we're ready for it. So, that's kind of where we're at right now.
Well, let's introduce your two players who are with us here in our virtual state fair meeting. We have Makenzie Langdok, who is from St. Michael, Minnesota, and Athena Kuehn, who's a defender from Colorado Springs, Colorado. How are you guys?
We're pretty good. We're just hanging out, hanging in there.
Are you guys roommates? You're hanging out together, or did one of you go to the other person's place here?
I made the trek over to her apartment. The best lighting was here, so. Yes.
Yeah, well, it looks great. It looks great, no doubt about it. How tough has it been for you guys as well to know that, a lot of the work you likely put in the off season to get better, to improve your game, both individually and then as a team? Not that it's going for naught, because as Coach said, at some point you guys will play again, but how disappointing is it to have to kind of stand on the sidelines here from a competition standpoint?
I think initially it was a little bit tough to hear, like as seniors and like having this be our last year. I think it was tough in the beginning, and now I think we've kind of reframed that, like Coach was talking about, and how can we make the most out of each day so that we can hopefully have a great spring now. So
yeah, same thing here. I think, the most exciting part about practicing and running and grinding is that you get to eventually play a game. So to be working so hard over summer and have all the girls like perform so well on like the fitness side of things and technical side of things, and then to hear that news was disappointing, but everyone's going through it. So we're trying to flip that pretty quick and go to the positive side of things so that we're staying mentally strong and kind of just pushing through, but it's been good.
Yeah.
And you're getting to hang out a little bit. I mean, in March, April, May, everyone was kind of all in their own little world in their basements or in their apartments and couldn't really, for safety reasons. And now it's more of a virtual bubble, but at least you get to hang out with each other a little bit here. And if it's not in competition, you can still practice. You can still run, get in the weight room and do some training. Has that made it a little better too?
Definitely. It's been really nice to be able to like come back and hang out with the girls like after workouts too. Like, yeah, we get to do that stuff together on the field, but it's been nice to like get back to being able to see each other off the field as well.
Yeah. And just underclassmen, I feel like they've kind of gotten closer to us quicker just because we've had so much more time on our hands. And so you get to focus more on things like that.
Coach, what has it been like to have the ladies back on campus, one, and two, it's still sometimes you see, people together and you wonder, what protocols are you guys putting in place to make sure that, this doesn't spread within your own group here?
Yeah, I mean, getting back together was awesome. They were together with each other before we were together with them, and so they already had an idea of where we were going to be. But for us to, to get back with them and really get a good look at what our starting point was tremendous for us. And I think that everybody had that excitement, which is helping us, be able to continue forward and with a positive mindset. I think. We wear masks inside, when we're with each other, we're getting tested every week. So, we're staying on top of that, temperature checks, every single day to get wherever we're going. And, when we go out to the field or wherever we're going to be, the spacing is set up to where, here's where your bags go. And, you're not on top of each other with those pieces. And, it's challenging in those ways, just because it's, you typically you come together and you're like with each other and like really with each other. And, we're just being a lot more cautious. We can't use our locker room. There's limitations on number of people in different spaces that we would typically use for the team as a whole. So it's changed that dynamic and that look a little bit. But again, like, for me, I would so much rather be dealing with all of that than be stuck in my office and doing Zoom all the time. To actually be able to be on the field and, as coaches get to coach, as players get to play, I think that's why we do this. We want to be able to compete. And right now it's internal competition and with one another. We did put them in two teams, each team wearing a uniform, for the weekend. And, on Saturdays, that's what we're going to do for the next couple weekends here. So, we're trying to keep it to where we do get that feel of game day. They have their pregame meal at the time that they would typically have their pregame meal and kind of go through everything in that way. And, the winner each weekend will get something kind of fun the next week. So they haven't seen that yet, but they'll see it tonight. So.
Yeah, no doubt. I was going to ask too, as a coach who now is responsible, to create team chemistry, to make these athletes better, but also to kind of oversee them. Like, for example, in Athena's case, she's from Colorado, so her quote unquote family is a long ways away. How much do you take on that thought that, yeah, I've got to make sure that, I mean, look, some things are out of your control, obviously, yeah, but you're kind of overseeing this whole thing to make sure they're all responsible and safe and doing the right things.
Yeah, and I think that this group does a great job of that, and we do team building every week, and, we do try to do individual check-ins, and, we're in the process of individual meetings right now. And, we try every single day to get a gauge of where they are. We do a thing right now where we say, okay, where are we at? And you hold up a number on your hand between 1 and 5. And 1 is you're really struggling on the day. 5 is, hey, could be better, and like roll a ball out and just let us go. And there's a lot of times we've got a lot of 4s. Occasionally you'll see a 2, and, you follow up with those 2s that you see just to make sure that there's not something bigger going on that we need to be aware of. But I think that this team as a whole prides itself on the family feel that they have, and really look out for one another as well. So, I think that they do a great job of that. I think that the staff on a whole, across the board, every single person who's involved in the program, we care about the women and want to make sure that we're in a good place. So, our team building, we kind of break up. Sometimes it's like this past week, we had a real world team building where, we took a walk as a team down to the site of the Philando Castile shooting. And, we had small group and then collective discussions about, social injustice and kind of what's going on in the world around us. And, this week it's going to be a little bit more fun, like a more fun topic. And then the next week, these guys are a part of our leadership group, and they're going to lead a team building with the team as a whole that's connected to our staircase within the program. And then there's going to be weeks where it's about kind of what are we trying to accomplish when the spring does come and we do get that opportunity to get back on the field. So I think blending it, feeling like we're continuing to progress and grow, but not being like deathly serious about it all the time. Right. I think that helps us like have that little bit of balance along the way.
I want to ask you quickly about the season that was maybe going to happen coming up here in relation to where the program is in general, because obviously you've built a solid program here. You've been in the NCAA tournament multiple times. 2 years ago, you won the Big Ten tournament and beat, was it Auburn, I think, in the NCAA. And then last year, I think if people just generally would look at the record, they'd say, oh, man, they took a dip. But I also think if you looked at the games themselves and saw how you play, you're probably, what, 5 or 6? If you could change the outcome of 5 or 6 specific plays, I'm not talking games, just play, the record's probably flipped. I mean, have you ever been through a season quite like what you were in 2019?
No, and it was, these guys will tell you, it was super, super frustrating, because again, on a whole, there were a lot of great things happening and, felt like we were putting ourselves in positions to get results. And we had, 9 that were either a tie or a 1 goal loss on the wrong side of that, and that's part of the hard part about the game that we've chosen is that, it's not high scoring and you don't have multiple opportunities to really redeem yourself. And, you can have a bad first half and be down, like in basketball, you can be down quite a bit and still turn around and get the results. And that's just not the nature of our game. And, the way that I look at kind of the totality of that plus the COVID and plus what we're going through right now is, we had to take a pause, right? And we had to take a step back, and like it helps you be really, really grateful for the opportunities that you do get and, make you a little bit more intentional and not take things so much for granted. I think in some seasons you're on the flip side of those results and you take it for granted that, again, that the close ones go your way. And so I think that's probably the hardest part about still being in that pause button, right? Like you feel like you're sitting in purgatory right now in a way. And, you sit there and like from our standpoint internally, we're like, we were ready to rebound. We were ready to respond. We were ready to, kind of start putting our stamp on the season. And to have to wait longer to do that is definitely a challenge.
Yeah, Makenzie, I'll ask you about last year and then heading into this year. Obviously, the fall is off now. Hopefully, right, that spring you guys can get a spring season in, like a real season with a competition that you'd play, and maybe see where you shake out in the standings. What is your goal and expectation for the team? Let's, for the sake of this part of the discussion, say everything's a go come the spring for Gopher women's soccer.
I think we've talked a lot about this as a team. Even like last spring, we were ready to flip the switch as soon as we started up training again once the season was done. And I think the potential of this team is to be able to, we call it do the double. So you win the Big Ten outright through conference play, and then you win the Big Ten tournament. And I think that's just like almost an expectation at this point. I think for sure making the tournament, and our hope is Sweet 16. That's what we've been talking about. So and I think this team has a lot of potential to do that, and it's been really exciting to start training. Oh.
Wow, we got trucks outside honking at you. They must be on here. Athena, what are some things as a team then? Are there some specific things that as you guys look toward a season that say have to happen within a match that will flip the switch or flip the script, so to speak, on how to make those 1-goal losses 1 goal or 2-goal wins?
Well, I think the coaching staff's already talked to us about how we have so much time until spring season. So we're really breaking things down and we're going back to like the very basics of soccer. So I think like building from the bottom up is going to be a lot more effective. And I mean, every school has a lot more time, but we're one of the few Big Ten schools right now for soccer that are still playing. Like we're still going. So I think we just have a group that's like ready to grind. And I think just building from very basics, we're going to hit the top early and we're going to peak right when we start. That's what we're looking forward to. So day by day.
Yeah, hit the ground running, so to speak.
Yeah, that's right.
Coach, I think you've talked about this before, but I want to ask you the Take the Stairs. Tell us about what that's all about within the program.
Yeah, it's kind of the piece that lays the foundation for everything that we do. Like every team gets to build upon that foundation, but those are the pieces that we're all committed to from the time you commit to the program throughout the course of your life within the program. For us, it's there's no shortcuts to get where we want to go, for sure. And so the first step is selflessness. And, it is about like doing all the right things for your teammates. It's about, it's not about you anymore. And sometimes, maybe what you want individually isn't what the team needs, and being willing to sacrifice your own individual desires for our collective goals is a really, really big piece of what we do. And then the mentality piece is the second step in that staircase. And that's about competing every single day, one day at a time. And, you're constantly in competition with yourself to be better than you were the day before. And then you have the competition of whoever you're competing against that day. But, at the crux of it is, are we doing everything that we need to do to continually get better and continually kind of raise the standard that the program has within it? Preparation is the next step of the staircase, and that's about controlling all the things that you can control. So, it's one thing to be able to compete and be able to do all the right things on the field, but it's all the things off the field that set you up to do that at the highest level. And then it's elevate. Once you're doing everything right yourself, how are you extending yourself to others and helping them take that step forward with you? It's how are we lifting our environment? And, every single day we all either contribute positively, negatively, or neutrally to the environment. And if you're not contributing positively, you haven't done what the team expects of you on the day. And, we have in our locker room, the door to exit it, which we don't get to use right now, but the door to exit it says opportunity on it. And our belief is that if you're fully committed to those steps, you're going to be fully prepared for every opportunity. It doesn't mean you're always going to win, because as we've said before, our game is a cruel one. I've been parts of games where we've outshot an opponent 27-2 and we've tied the game 2-2. So, that's just the nature of our sport. But we do believe that we will be ready to compete to win every time out if we do that. So that's kind of what Take the Stairs is about.
Well, we got a great update now on that, on your program, on what the goals are, what the fall might look like heading into the spring. Let's talk on the State Fair interview here about the State Fair for a minute. Now, I'll start with Makenzie because she's from Minnesota, so I assume she's been going to State Fair since she was really young. Is that right? And what's your favorite part of going, and how fun is it to, when you've been able to, go out as a team and hang out on the State Fairgrounds?
I think I've grown to appreciate it more as I've gotten older and have been able to bring like Athena and like the other girls who are out of state in my grade to the fair. I think my favorite, I used to always do the slide. When I was little, we'd always do the big slide. And even when I go now, my mom always texts me and makes sure that I go do that before we leave. It's funny. I think my two go-tos are the corn and the cookies for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And Athena from Colorado, what was your first impression? Well, first of all, when they said, hey, we're taking the team to the fair, what did you think? And secondly, how did your thought turn into what actually happened and what the fair is actually like?
Well, Colorado has they have a state fair too, but it's like very different. I think I was like not as excited as I should have been, but when I got there, I was glad that I had Kenzie and Ari, because first of all, I have a terrible sense of direction, just like in general. So a lot of people and like not really a ton of like easy landmarks for me was tough. So I just kind of followed along and did what they did. But it was a lot the first time I went. I just couldn't believe how many people were there.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Not like Colorado's. Very different.
Did you have a favorite stand or a shop, or did you play carnival games, or what did you enjoy the most?
I always want to say I like went on the rides because I think they look cool, but I hate like carnival rides, so that's a big no for me. But I like there's like a soft serve place.
The dairy building?
Yeah, she took me there. I really like that, and then corn, big corn girl.
For sure. Well, Coach, how about you? I always have enjoyed when we've been able to get up on the stage and do interviews, and I know Matt Nelson has done those in the past as well. But what's your favorite part of the Minnesota State Fair? And you're also not like I guess Makenzie is the only native Minnesotan. I'm not either. However, I was lucky when I was young. My dad sold agriculture products, so when I started coming to the fair from out of state when I was like 10 years old with him, so I've been around it forever as well. But what was your impression coming up from where you grew up to now as a coach, taking a team out to a fair?
Yeah, it's I think one of the cool things for me has been that my older son has kind of grown up with it, because we're heading into year 9 now. So, every year we decide to make it a day for the two of us, so he comes with me and we go and we do the games because he's actually like really good at them, and we end up like with garbage bags of these ginormous like stuffed toys and things, and he gets to hang out, and we make a full day of it. And he was really sad when he found out that it was canceled this year, because it's like our day. And Max is now 4, and there was this thought of, can he handle it? And the girls can probably tell you, based on him being around the other day, he would have been all over the dang place. It would have been crazy. But I'm with both of them on the Kuehn. Sweet Martha's is definitely a go-to, and it's like you want to try something new each year, I think, too. Travis is a root beer connoisseur, so we definitely try to hit all the different root beer stands along the way, and it's just it's a fun time. And I think last year we may have even had like Christmas ornaments made at the at one of the stands there, so it's kind of fun.
Yeah, it sure is. And it's unfortunate we aren't able to be there this year, but hopefully next fall, next August and September, we can all reconvene at one of the State Fair buildings and on the State Fairgrounds and on that U of M stage. In the meantime, let's hope that we all can reconvene on campus. We can see each other soon, and that when spring hits, we can watch some Gopher Soccer.
Sounds great to me, Mike. Thanks so much for having us.
You got it.
Thank you.
Fingers crossed. See you guys. That's our State Fair interview.